Hello everyone, I'm Taka Awori, founder and CEO of Busara Africa, a Pan-African leadership development firm. Welcome to the Leadership in Africa Redefined podcast. This podcast seeks to do two things. One, change the narrative of leadership in Africa, and two, provide concrete strategies and tips for leading in an African context. We do this by interviewing amazing African leaders so that the narrative of leadership in Africa is defined by the best of us, not the worst of us. We share their stories and provide practical suggestions for dealing with the challenges of leading on this continent. We discuss, interrogate, and examine concrete leadership practices that work. We also look at failures that these leaders faced and how they navigated their ways back on track. It's an exciting and empowering space for leaders to thrive and engage. Subscribe to the show to become the leader you have always wanted to be. And if you like the show, be sure you rate it and review it. It helps others to find it. Thanks so much.
Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of Leadership in Africa Redefined, the podcast. You know, as usual, I'm super excited when I have amazing leaders with me in the studio. This one is not with me here in Ghana, but is joining me all the way from freezing. She told me it's so cold, freezing Nairobi, Kenya. And I have none other than Mrs. Jane Wathome. Jane, good evening.
Good evening, Taka.
Oh, lovely to see you. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Freezing,
and you're trying to stay warm,
yeah. Yes.
I know Nairobi winters can be wicked for sure.
Yeah.
So before we get into the conversation for our guests, let me introduce Jane so you know who this amazing leader is. So Jane is currently the founder and executive director of Beacon of Hope, providing visionary leadership and oversight to the organization. And I hope during this podcast, you're going to learn more about Beacon of Hope and just how she's grown it in an absolute amazing way. She's received a number of accolades and awards for excellence in service to the community and sits on several nonprofit boards in Kenya. She holds a master's degree from International Leadership University. So you see, this is somebody who's not just studied leadership, but she's also practicing it in a particular way. And she has worked in the corporate world in senior marketing positions for over 5 years before focusing on community development. And you will see that her focus on community development has yielded such an amazing impact. So that is Jane. So again, Jane, you're welcome. And I think a good place for us to start is to briefly share the story of Beacon for Hope, because I think when folks go onto the website, you will see over the years that you've had this organization. If I'm correct, you've reached over 1 million women, children, and youth. That is not a small thing. So tell us the story of how you founded it and how it has grown.
Well, how did it start? It began in 2002, but many factors contributed to that. Let me go back a little bit about my history. When I was a young girl in the university, I used to work on a part-time basis, selling insurance. And soon after finishing, I got married in 1989 and continued working for another 2 years. And then at some point, I decided to become a home mom. But there was also a place where I had an personal encounter with God, with Jesus, who sort of like changed my worldview from where I was so like wanted to get to the top at the corporate world. So my values changed immediately, and I became a home mom and began to also volunteer in my local church, where I used to meet with women and do counseling, and that led me to go back to school to do my master's in counseling and theology based on the needs that I was experiencing as I interacted with different women within the church context. And As I did my master's, I decided to focus my thesis on HIV and AIDS. And around that time, there were issues of HIV and AIDS were such a crisis in Kenya. 1998, 99, 2000, we had about 700 people dying every day. And as I did my thesis and did my research, I noted that most of those affected by HIV and AIDS were the poor women who are not educated, who didn't have a voice. And for me, it became a conviction, a call that God put upon my heart to give my life to make a difference. He's given me education, he's given me opportunities. Am I willing to go down and lift up my fellow sisters and sort of like walk alongside them and help them to have a voice? So, and I ended up going into the slums in a place called Kware Slums. And I would visit 3 days a week. I was not intending to start an organization. For me, it was just to give hope, walk with them, pray with them. One thing led to another. I realized that as I visited with them, I noted that most of them, what was driving them and what caused them not to have a voice in their sexuality was economic, and lack of opportunities. And they asked, would you be willing to help us have those economic opportunities so that we can be able to have a voice and to support our families and to change the lifestyle that they were leading. And that's how now the center started, rented a place, and they wanted to be economically empowered. And through my husband's support and family support, I started training them in different skills, crafts. And because I had experience in sales and marketing, the idea of selling those products came naturally. And so that we could pay them, it's a social enterprise. It was to start the enterprise, not for me, but for them. So that as we train them how to make those products, we could sell them. But they would come, you help one woman, she brings the entire community and family. So the women used to come with their children, they brought their young people. And that's how Beacon of Hope ended up having a school. Because we realized with all high levels of illiteracy that I witnessed to the mothers, if we are going to make lasting change that is transformational, not just for today, for generations, we need to invest in education of their children. And not just education, quality education. And then we had young people. They brought along young people, some of them who had dropped out of school and were involved in alcohol, drugs, crime. And again, the mothers asked, you've empowered us so intentionally. Could you also help our young people in different skills the way you've just empowered us? So that's how our Technical Training Institute came about. But we also involved, of course, in health, because I found myself with women, about 700 of them dying. You have all these women coming to the center, and they come with their children and they're dying because it's not treatment. So for me, it became a drive, it became such a passion to ensure that we provide antiretroviral drugs, which were not then accessible to the poor. So over time, we were able to put up a medical facility. We were able to buy our own land. So we currently occupy 8.2 acres, where we were able to provide a medical facility where we are able to give antiretrovirals, and we've seen lives change. You give access to medication. This woman who didn't have hope and you've given her skill picks up her life and begins to become economically stable and begins to become a mother that she was designed to be by God. And then the young people, the children, education. So far, I think the 20 plus years we've had in this work, we've seen amazing transformation. It's been quite an opportunity, to see lives and families as we speak and communities really uplifted and transformed. And,
Wow.
HIV no longer a crisis per se, but
Yes.
that issues, of course, of poverty continues. So we've come up with all sorts of programs, to empower them, entrepreneurship, helping them to have table banking so that they can have access to credit to grow their own businesses and enterprise, with the different skills that we've given them, and just helping them to think through, what's the future like.
Yeah.
And with the young people, encouraging them to find a career and a career path, through education and to get the best.
Yes.
So we have a sponsorship program where we facilitate those who may not be able to afford education.
Wow,
on after
Jane.
university.
So people can really appreciate the scope of what has grown over almost 20 years. So you have the medical facility, list all the institutions that are now part of Beacon for Hope there. There's
So we have a hospital, then we
Uh-huh.
have a school starting from kindergarten all the way to junior secondary. And then we have a technical training college, institute, and then we have the community outreach program, huge community. At any one time, we're dealing with thousands of vulnerable children and their families. Yeah. And young people.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Truly, truly. And there are a couple of things that you have said about your journey to me that really lift up the kind of leadership that Kenya and I think Africa needs at this moment. You said something about the words you used were this was a conviction and calling.
Yes.
And I think about how Kenya can be shifted when people are in leadership roles that are driven by conviction and calling.
Yes.
The other thing you said that's so interesting, and it's something I capture in my book when I talk about what drives people into leadership. And I have a chapter where I say, seek to make a difference, not to occupy a leadership role. And that's exactly what you said. You said, I didn't seek to start an organization. I just wanted to make a difference. You know, it's so interesting how you were going there, you were doing the counseling. And I love the words you said, you wanted to walk alongside these women.
Yes.
So it wasn't about power, it was about making a difference.
Yes.
Two other things you said that really speak to the leadership that's needed right now is you talk about it so much in terms of service.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you were saying about the marketing, what you're saying, it's not for me, it's for them. That's such a reflection of service. Then the last thing you said is about transformation. It's another thing I always talk about in the book as well, that the types of leaders we need now are not seeking to just have band-aids. And you can see the way Beacon has grown organically, it's because you keep seeking to say there's an underlying problem here. Let's address that. Let's see how we can get to that. So it's just your story reflects so much of the type of leadership that you have offered and we need. But maybe I should ask you though, when you think about what you've been able to really achieve, which has been such a huge impact in the lives of so many people, what are the 3 to 5 leadership qualities that have really enabled you to build such an impactful organization?
I think that number one, my faith has played a very big part. Hello?
I can hear you perfectly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So
your faith.
My faith and my relationship to God and living by what? If you read the good book, I would say, the Bible, which is what guides us in terms of my faith. If you read those principles and apply them as a leader, it's transformative. So for me, I think that has been one of the things because it brings out, it helped me find my purpose. It helped me find out my calling, you know. So whatever I do today is not a job, it's a call. You know, I do what I do because it's a call, it's a conviction, you know. And then the other thing along the journey that has really helped me as a leader is discipline and focus. You know, so being just serious, you know, if it's a call, if it's a purpose, you and for the greater good of the people that God has called you to serve, you have to be disciplined. And for me, focus is so critical, you know. So when I took on that role, when I got that calling, accepted that calling, I am so focused. I that's all I dream. That's what I think, you know. And then the other thing has been having a clear vision. You know, I think from the word go, God gave me a very clear vision and he continues to clarify it, you know. But as I received that vision and got that vision, I've been very committed to driving it, and being very committed to execute. You can have a vision, but it can remain dead if you don't execute. So for me, execution is very, very key in throughout my leadership in the call that God has placed me in. And then the other thing is the people, identifying the right people, because you can't execute a vision on your own. So as a leader, one of the things that I've valued most is the people, but it's not just the people. It has to be people aligned to the vision. It has to be people aligned to my values. It has to be people who see this as a call, not just a job. If you come to Beacon and you're looking for a job, you may not survive for very long. It has to be more than that.
I love that.
It's got to be more than that. Yeah, it has to come with conviction. It has to come with purpose, going beyond self, so those are some of the things I would say.
So you're saying
that
the
have really
first one are your values and clear purpose and calling. And I'm going to have a question about that one. The second one is around, actually, it's interesting. The thing with the values and which is guided by your faith. What I'm hearing you say, for you, you're a Christian. So it's grounded on your faith with God in a Christian framework. But I'm imagining that if somebody's Muslim or if they're Buddhist, or whatever it is, it's having those values that are grounded in something that becomes key. The second is, you said, is discipline and focus. I love that sense of focus. You're like, I dream about this thing. It's like, blinkers. You're like so clear. The third is that clear vision, but it's not just a vision, not just a dream, but the ability to execute on that vision. And then the fourth is having, and this is so key, people. And I love what you're saying about people, because you're right. As as Maxwell says, if you are a leader and you don't have any people following you, you're just taking a walk in the park. You are not, leadership is about other people, right? But it's finding the right people who are aligned to your vision and have the right values. Now, it's interesting what you're saying. There's two things I want to pick up. The last one is more a comment, and then the next one is a question. I love the fact that you emphasize when you talk about people that you're looking for people for whom this is not just a job when they come to Beacon. And I think that's so key, because in the professionalization of our NGOs, for many people, it's just a job. And there is nothing wrong with being professional as you work in amazing organizations and large organizations like Beacon. But what I'm hearing you say, it has to be more than just a job. So I absolutely love that. But my question to you is on purpose, because you were so blessed that you got that calling. And you have such clarity. You're like, I got that calling. I'm on purpose. I know what God has put me on this earth for. Jane, I can't tell you how many people as a coach say to me, I don't know what my purpose is. So, and not all of them are religious in your context. If somebody came to you and said, I want to be an amazing leader, and I recognize it's good leadership is purpose driven, but I don't know my purpose. How do I find my purpose? What would you say to them?
I think for me, it starts from asking yourself, why do you exist? Well, why do you think you're on this earth? Because you didn't just drop from heaven. You must have been put on this earth for a reason, And it's a constant question I always ask. It's something I always try to teach our kids, even in our school, just to understand what's your purpose. Because when God created us, and there's something that he didn't. We were not just created to just exist. There's something in us that drives us to exist. Not just existing. So it's that something in you that is greater than yourself. That's something within you that makes you desire to do something greater than yourself, because when you just exist, you can you can have a purpose just to exist for yourself, maybe just amass wealth and enjoy it, then what? You know, I always say you can have lots of money and have many houses, but you can only sleep on one bed at one time, drive one car at one time, So there has to be a purpose. There has to be that something that makes you wake up every morning. It could even be a business, for example, but that business, is it a purpose-driven business? Where it's not just about the amount of money you make, but you're making a difference. You're impacting.
I wonder then, Jane, as I listen to you more and more then, because you started out saying, I love it, this question that we all need to be asking ourselves, why are we on this earth? But as I listen to you more and more, it's almost as if, because somebody may say, I'm on this earth to make as much money as I can. But I hear it's not that. It's what is the unique difference I have been put on this earth? Positive difference. What is positive the unique positive difference I have been put on this earth to make? And it could be a huge, amazing thing like impacting over 1 million women, youth, and children such as yourself. Or it could be something as small as just within my family, I am the rock that holds them. And I share love wherever I go and wherever I touch. But leadership that's grounded on that, whatever space you occupy leadership, whatever religion or faith or whatever, when you're clear about what is that positive difference I'm put on this earth to achieve, then you're able to, I love that. I love that. Okay. Now the challenges. I can imagine that and actually journey. Oh, sorry. Yes, you finish.
And I think on that last question, the last other question, there's something I didn't add. I just wanted to share it about leadership. Some of the things that have really helped me along the journey of leadership is within my team, empowering and delegating, learning the power of empowering and delegating. Because you got to trust your people. If you have that vision or that purpose and you want it to grow, then within your team, you have to learn to empower them, delegate and trust, And then I find that more and more I'm playing the role of coaching and mentoring the team. And my role is maybe become more on, I love cheering my team. I love calling them and telling them, well done. Yeah, you did it. Well done. Keep it up. That makes my day. That makes my day.
I love that. Because there are many leaders who take joy in fault finding. When they find faults, they're like, you haven't done this and you haven't done. And what I hear you saying is on the people level, it's not just about having the right people who are aligned to the values and the vision and who are not there just for a job, but it's also how you work with them. And for you, it's about delegating, empowering, trusting them, and celebrating them. I love that.
Exactly. Yes.
Nice. I think that's key.
So I felt I needed to add that.
Sure.
Hi, folks. Hope you're enjoying the show. So have you heard about the Africa Leaders Circle? Our impactful e-learning platform that enables you to grow into the leader you would want to follow? Here is a message to tell you what you need to know.
Are you a CEO, executive director, or HR manager that is looking to build a pipeline of leaders that are ready to step up into management roles? Are you looking for a self-paced learning platform that provides your leaders with quality content and does not take them away from their work for too long? Are you looking for a program that enables your managers to move from knowledge acquisition to demonstrable improved practice? Then look no further. Sign them up for the African Leaders Circle today. The African Leaders Circle is an e-learning platform that gives your managers access to an exclusive community of leaders across the continent and a wide range of strategies and tools to stand out. We do this through online courses, discussion forums, a library of resources, and a personal learning advisor to support each of your managers to maximize their learning on the platform. To learn more, visit our website www.busara-africa.com.
Don't forget to visit our website busara-africa.com to learn more. And now back to the show.
Yeah.
So the challenges, I was going to come to the challenges because I'm sure it has not been a smooth road. It's not just been uphill in the last over 20 years. What are some of, what are 2 to 3 key challenges, leadership challenges, I would say, you've faced, and how have you overcome them?
Actually, my leadership challenge is encompassed. It's described as human resource.
Yes.
And that has been having the wrong people in the bus.
Yeah.
And then for me, because of, I guess, my makeup, inability to get them off the bus. So that has been my biggest challenge, just identifying the right people to put in the bus, with the right, you can have someone with the right skills, but they may not have the right chemistry, or I may not be able to afford them, or they may not have the commitment, and the character, thereof.
Yeah.
So, and then for me, once I make that mistake and they are inside the bus, I just have a challenge letting people go, I really, really, really struggled. So right now it's something that I'm really, really, really working on, because I can see the longer I've taken, there are some situations that I could have done better. Maybe some, would have been probably further if I had made some of those decisions to let off the wrong people in the bus at the right time, but for me, it's normally like a big struggle. So for me, it's an area of growth, but that has been one of the biggest challenges, just identifying the right people who fit the place, and then you can also afford them, but then also you may get the right people, but now the chemistry, the character issues come up, and then you have to let them go. So I would say human resource, one would be surprised, I would say maybe one would say resource mobilization, but no, I wouldn't say that has been my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge has actually been just identifying the right people to mentor. Because once you get the right people, you have to be, I become very intentional to empower them, to delegate to them where I don't actually have to worry, because I know that they would take that position you've given them and the role they've been given, or the department they've been given, like their own. I tell them, in your department, if you're a gardener, you are the CEO of that.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So when I'm not able to get someone who you can comfortably delegate to that point, that's been like a challenge. Yeah. Because the things I look at mainly are 5 in the leadership, and even through the recruitment journey, I always look at character. I look at commitment. I look at the chemistry, and then of course I look at the cost.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But someone could be affordable, but the chemistry is wrong.
Yes.
You may find the character is not right, the commitment is not there.
Yes.
So that's been, I would say, in my leadership journey, one of the biggest challenges, but also the challenge of
getting them off the bus. But it's actually not a surprise. You're saying, someone may think resource mobilization might be one for an NGO, but actually, even any organization that once you've gotten the funding, then it's about how do you have the people to deploy. So you're not alone in this challenge. I see it consistently with many organizations. And it is, we're using, for our listeners who are not familiar, we're using Jim Collins' good to great metaphor around getting people on the bus and off the bus. And this is, and interestingly enough, thank you, it tells a lot about you, the self-awareness that the first challenge you raise is a growth area for you. Because many people focus the challenge on out there. That is those, but you're saying this is my challenge, getting the right people and then getting them off the bus. And similarly, getting people off the bus is a perennial challenge that leaders have, particularly in our NGO space. And I think one of the ways forward is we start putting less pressure on the individual leaders in terms of recruitment and getting people off the bus, and let systems and culture do that for us.
Fantastic.
Because I realize, for instance, when you have a very strong performance management system, a culture of strong accountability, the way lots of corporates may have, sometimes in almost a ruthless way, but for us more caring organizations. When you have that, it's much more easier to get people off the bus because the system has already done it, so that it's not so much pressure on you, the leader who's caring, loving, supportive. You know that when letting somebody go, sometimes it's not just losing a job. Sometimes this person is coming with all these dependents and what. So I can appreciate that challenge. All right. So that's the first one, getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. What's another challenge?
I think the other challenge is it can be lonely at the top. As a leader. So sometimes also getting, I've been blessed that I have a very supportive family. My husband is very supportive, but at times as a leader, it can be quite lonely getting people who think the same way, and you can pour your heart in. So that's another, and at times also the overwhelming sense of like responsibility. Like now we're just about to go through a huge growth for the next 20 years. It's a big vision ahead, and I've really been struggling with that as a leader. I've been looking and thinking, Lord God, you really want me to do that? Because we want to expand our impact to other places and have a bigger campus, like about 150 acres. So the whole process, I know what it has taken to get to where we've gotten. Probably could be shorter because I'm a bit more exposed now.
Sure.
But because I know what comes with it, the sense of responsibility. And I think my fear is actually not even the process of getting all that going. I discovered that it goes back to human resource, because I'm thinking, okay, I put up all these centers again. What about now the people who will I get people who have got the same sense of purpose, the same sense of responsibility, the same sense of accountability, and then you find yourself as a leader thinking about succession planning. After all this, who are the Timothys? Who are those, faith? That's why I'm so passionate about mentoring and choosing the right people, so that beyond self, the organization that you've started can outlive you for hundreds of years to go. And we really need organizations that can outlive us in Africa, because we are still, in America and other countries, we have organizations that have been there like for 100 years.
Yes.
But in Kenya, this thing of non-profits and, organizations like ours, it's quite a new thing.
Yes.
So how do we develop organizations that will outlast us and continue to remain faithful to the vision, continue to demonstrate the values that the founder started? I think sometimes as a leader, those are the concerns.
Yes. I love that.
Love that.
And there was quite a lot packed into that one. And again, you're not alone, because this the loneliness one is a perennial one I hear about from many leaders. And the loneliness, therefore, leading to a sense of, this responsibility that's sitting on you. But I love the way you connected it with, it is it's a reflection or symptomatic or emblematic of that absence necessarily of having the right human resource, the right people. Because you know how it is, when you have the right folks around you, then you can feel like you share it. You're like, this is not just me. There are others who are really up on that same level. who are able to share this vision, drive this vision.
Yeah.
But the key thing you have said is to ensure this organization can outlive you. I absolutely love that. Oh, nice.
Yes.
Wonderful. There's so much I could pick up around that, but maybe let me end with my final question to you.
Yes.
There's so many NGOs, particularly faith-based organizations. Let me pocket them as a smaller subset of the broader organizations who have not quite had the same impact or lived in alignment with their stated values. So if I had to ask you, what type of leadership do we need to see more of within faith-based organizations in Kenya or more globally in Africa, more broadly, I mean, in Africa today?
Okay. I think the kind of leadership that we need to see in faith-based institutions is where servant leadership is demonstrated, as opposed to Lord leadership. Where you you're the boss. You're the leader. So that's servanthood. And for me, I always go back to the example of Jesus. I say he's my exemplary leadership example. When you look at the way he was on earth, he did his ministry, his work for just 3 years. I mean, within those 3 years, he picked 12 guys, and when you go back to the scriptures, the book I follow, it talks about how the 12 he picked were very ordinary, unschooled men, just very ordinary. But he spent time with them. He invested in them. He trained them, He held them accountable. He taught them, but he was also very humble. He washed their feet. He was sensitive to when they are hungry. He would feed them. He was sensitive to their fears when they're in the boat and the boat is sinking. I just love the example of Jesus as a leader, and when you look at the last example is when he washed his disciples' feet, So what does that tell us? As leaders, as Christian leaders, we are called to be servant leaders. We are called to serve, not to lord. He was Lord, but he never lorded.
That.
Yeah.
I love that.
And
I have a follow-up on that, because and I'm really excited about this example you're giving him.
Yeah.
Because to me, Jesus was an example of transformational leadership looking at issues of power. I mean, he didn't come to maintain the status quo. He came to upend systems of power. And the lovely example that you gave of washing his disciples' feet, to me, is an example of traditional leadership models have hierarchy. And what I'm hearing you say is that Jesus's model of leadership that was about service was also turning that hierarchy on its head. To wash somebody's feet is such a power dynamic that has been shifted on its head. So let me ask you this question, therefore, given the model he shares with us, and I see him as a revolutionary in that respect.
Exactly, totally,
Do you feel that as faith-based organizations, the work you all are doing in the world is sufficiently challenging of existing power structures? Or do you feel you're dealing with lots of symptoms? What is your sense?
I think we need to turn things upside down.
Okay.
We need to turn things upside down, especially in terms of defining what leadership is.
Okay.
Because of that hierarchy of leadership, particularly in some situations where there's those titles, the bishop and the what and whatnot, and at times it almost goes to worship of the person.
Yes.
So I think we truly do have an example that we've been given.
But now, what would that mean? Jane, in terms of your programs. So if you're doing work around like the hospital, you have a hospital, you're providing services. You have to provide services because you see in Kenya, the inequality means that those of us with will be able to go to Aga Khan and Sijui where those of us without won't be. So that's systemic inequality and unequal power dynamics in terms of access to health. So how do you all as Beacon not only provide the health services, which is dealing with the symptom, but also start to look at the unequal systems of access to health in Kenya so that you are not constantly having to keep supporting folks. You're not, how do I say it? So that eventually we start to see more equity in terms of access to health.
Oh, okay. A lot of it, I think, goes back to empowering our people and helping our people believe that you're able, but also a lot of it comes with demonstrating and respect and honor. And then of course excellence. So that even as you provide health, like we are just in the process of breaking ground for a much bigger facility, and and I really want it to be excellent. I want it to be in Nairobi Hospital, but for that woman who cannot afford, just take it to another notch, where they come there and people feel honored, people feel respected.
Like that.
So
then it starts to shift her mindset that she's worthy of respect.
Worthy of respect.
Excellence as she accesses health services.
Exactly.
I love that.
And demonstrating that as we work with our people.
Nice.
We work a lot with community health volunteers. Those are leaders at the community level, but without them, we will not achieve the results we've achieved.
Nice.
So for me, they're almost like we sit on the same platform. You'll find us sitting and discussing, and we honor them and respect them because they are the people at the community who knows who is sick, who is that vulnerable child, who needs to be supported. And then how can we build onto their leadership? How can we make them feel they're offering, they have a purpose. We are helping them operate within their purpose,
love that.
and honor what they're doing when it comes to like education, for that child who may not have had an opportunity or may not be able to pay because you're sponsoring them. Are you doing it with dignity? And are you giving them the best? Are you giving them the best? Treating them with honor and respect, so cutting across for me, respect and honor, not condescending, even as you serve, and we have the example when you think again of Jesus. There's a story where he fed the 5,000, and his disciples, after he preached, his disciples just told him, let's go, Then he said, no, we need to feed these people. And then his disciples said, it will take, I don't know how many years of wages for us to buy food for these people, So then they didn't have like the caring heart as he did, but through that, he was able to demonstrate something when he multiplied the food. But what that showed is, and I think one of the scriptures talks about how he looked at these people with a heart of compassion and they looked like helpless people, So sometimes when I go to the community, when I'm dealing with the people, with the children, what fills me is compassion, and like ask myself as a leader, I ask my leaders, starting from my staff to the community health volunteers.
Yes.
The people we are, the community-owned leaders.
Yes.
What can we do together?
I love that.
All
together.
Have a point.
Yes.
Together. Together. For me, that togetherness is so important because you can't walk alone. When you also look at Jesus, he made all these decisions together with his disciples, the 12. So constantly I always pray and actually tell God, you had your 12, please give me my 12.
Oh, I love that. You will get it. Amen. It shall be so.
Amen.
Oh, Jane, so I could continue talking to you forever, but I know we have to end. This has just been so interesting. Thank you so much for what you've been doing. I pray God continues to give you strength as you begin on this next exciting 20-year chapter of Beacon 2.0. And folks, please do check out their website. The website again, Jane, is
It's www.beaconafrica.org.
Yeah, beaconafrica.org.
Yeah.
Please check them out and
Yes.
see the amazing work that they're doing. But Jane, thank you. Be well and stay warm.
Thank
you
you
all for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, wonderful leader. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the podcast. I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. If you want more of the lessons, experiences, and nuggets for effective leadership, join our amazing platform for leaders, the African Leaders Circle. Learn more at www.busara-africa.com. And if you liked the show, don't forget to subscribe and share with other amazing leaders. See you soon. Ciao.